Our guest today on the English language broadcast of Radio Exterior de España is singer-songwriter and musician Nancy Ruth, who hails from British Columbia on Canada's west coast, but who now lives in Malaga, Spain. Nancy, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to our studios today.
Really fun to be here.
And I think you would say it's all really fun to live in Malaga now. And that first song, of course, was called Malaga. It's the opening track on your new album, Sangria Jam. You fell in love with Malaga the first day you saw it. Is that right?
Well, I always knew that I would end up living in Spain from the time I was a very young girl. And it was, like they say, all roads lead to Madrid. For me, it was all roads lead to Spain. And I guess I felt relieved when I finally arrived because I thought, okay, now I'm here. Now, I can't really tell you exactly why I knew I would end up in Spain, but it's been an instinct, something, part of my musical vision, but just part of my instinctual drive my whole life to end up in Spain.
All the way back to life in the woods of British Columbia when you would play the ukulele and write songs and end them with Ole, right?
Yeah. Who knows where I got that from? I really don't know. Now, my dad's side of the family does have Spanish roots going way back to Napoleon times, so it could be some kind of a genetic malfunction that I don't know. But I'm just so thrilled to be here, living in Spain.
You've been here since 2001.
Yeah,
right?
Based here, yeah. I mean, I've actually spent time here every year. Doesn't mean I was here all year round because I've been back and forth to Canada and mostly touring abroad, not so much in Spain. But this has been kind of my creative base. Yeah.
And creative base for making music that incorporates jazz, Latin, flamenco, but you prefer not to use the term fusion, right?
That's true, because it doesn't feel like a fusion to me. It feels like my own natural expression. And I've interestingly enough, I've had this feeling from the time I was very young, this musical vision, and I could almost see it and feel it, and probably didn't know how to describe it, back then. But, since then, throughout my career, having worked in so many genres, from rock to jazz to musical theater to Latin music, of course, all of these influences come together and become part of my musical diet, so to speak. So when I go to compose, this is just what comes out. So it certainly doesn't feel like a fusion. And I say that because I don't really like fusion, so to speak, if it sounds forced.
Llórame, abrázame y llórame. You cry and lead my heart astray. You're stronger when you fall. You fall to my fragility. A quiet dose of ecstasy that fades before the dawn, and then it's gone. Llórame, abrázame y llórame. You cry, but you can never stay. You take me to my end. We're searching for the same embrace, returning to a sacred place where love is love alone, beyond the stone. As you race toward the burning sun, and bring the light Abrázame y llórame. You cry and lead my heart astray. You're stronger when you fall. You fall to my fragility. Quiet depths of ecstasy that fades before the dawn, and then it's gone. You cry, but you can never stay. You take me to my end. We're searching for the same embrace, returning to a sacred place where love is love alone. Beyond the stone.
And that was Nancy Ruth with a song called Llórame, Cry to Me. Nancy, tell us a bit about this this song, and I believe it's going to be appearing on the silver screen pretty soon.
Yeah, right? I'm quite pleased to announce that this song will become part of the soundtrack for a new film called La Ley del Embudo. It's a film by Alfredo Carrasco here in Madrid. So it will be doing the rounds of festivals next year and will be in cines soon. Yeah.
You probably haven't seen the film yet. Do you know exactly where it's used or how it incorporates it?
Yeah, because we've collaborated on the scene where I've seen the scene that it's going to be in,
and you approve.
and I do. Well, yeah, I think it's going to be a beautiful film. Yeah, and some really wonderful actors. So. Very pleased about it.
And there you throw a bit of your Spanish in, because, of course, living in Spain, you speak Spanish. Llórame, abrázame, y llórame. Cry to me or cry for me? Cry to me?
Cry to me, hold me, and cry to me. Yeah, it's a sort of a mystical song. I can't really tell you exactly what it's about. Sometimes songs come to me and lyrics, and I can't always tell you exactly what they're about, but more of a sensation that I have at the time.
But this, like the other 10 songs on the album, they were all composed while you were in Malaga, living in Malaga.
Yeah, living in Rincón de la Victoria, which is a little town just outside of Malaga, in the province of Malaga.
Are you
Very
on the
small
coast?
Town. I live right on the beach, so I'm looking out at the sea while I write, which is why I live there. Yeah.
Well, of course, Malaga is the hometown of the Malaga. The city is where Picasso is from. Do you feel the presence or the shadow of Picasso ever when you're creating?
Maybe. I did. My parents are both fine artists, and so I did grow up with a knowledge of art, and I haven't really made that connection before, but it's possible, because now when I think about Picasso's way of interpreting in his format, it does feel Malaga is a very creative place. There's a tremendous amount of contrast there in terms of sort of the good and the bad, the dark and the light, the chispa malagueña. We call it like kind of a spark. It's always, you're kind of always relaxed but on edge at the same time. So that's good fodder for creativity for sure.
Early in the morning, when I find myself alone. I remember what you told me in your brazen baritone, and I can't believe you said that, and I hope it isn't true. So I wrote this bulería for you. I've lied in the light of lies mistaken, and I've tried, and I've tried, and I've tried, and I've tried. But my little heart has since awakened, and it follows the sound of the wind in my hair as I
This is Bulería number 1, another track from Sangria Jam, the new album by Nancy Ruth. And Nancy, you were just saying that this is the song that started it all.
Well, this is the song that started this particular album, Sangria Jam, because when I moved back to Malaga from Barcelona, because in Barcelona I had a different lineup and I was working with another album that I wrote called Para Ti. But when I went back to Malaga and really got in touch with my flamenco friends and spending time at the Peña, and I'm very kind of incorporated partly in the flamenco community there, mostly as a friend and a supporter, but it's a huge influence, obviously. So I sat down at the piano and wrote this song, which is based on a bulería rhythm, and I thought, who's going to understand how to play this, you know? And so I happened to meet Juan Heredia, who's the percussionist with Chambao, and Juan Soto, who used to be the musical director for Manzanita, who are, sort of big names in Spain. And they invited me to Juan Soto's recording studio to see what I was working on. And I showed them this song, and they knew exactly what I was trying to get at, how to interpret my music. And so we recorded it just for fun. And then Juan said, well, let's do another one. And then he said, well, let's do another one. And so we just continued recording, and I would bring in music, and we would play it. And it's very great for me to be able to work with musicians who really understand my musical vision, and can help me to bring it to life. So.
Now, apart from Juan Soto on bass and percussionist and drummer Juan Heredia, Luis Robisco is the guitarist.
Yeah, on the album, Luis Robisco is an incredible guitarist from Barcelona who toured with me for many years when I was living in Barcelona. Also recorded the Para Ti album with me. Yeah, Luis.
And then the flute there was the flute of Manuel Olmo.
Yeah, Manuel Olmo. He's in my current touring band. He plays the flute, the sax, and the electric guitar.
You heard him on soprano sax before, right?
Yeah. He's very much part of the band for sure. Yeah.
My hammer's met 1,000 nails that pummel, forge, and crack. I like it that way. I elevate and raise the beast. I drown in my own sweat. No need to explain. I'm travel weary that I somehow find the grit I need to like another temporary home. think I'm rich and they grab and snatch, but they're blind to see the tear stains on my hand-me-downs. I could be shattered, but I don't believe a jagged heart could find another temporary home.
And this is a song called Temporary Home. Something, Nancy, that I don't know if when you saw Malaga back in 2001, if you thought that it was going to be the permanent home that it's become, or
Oh
if it was
man, I must have lived in 300 places in my life. I mean, I'm moving around all the time, and even in Malaga, I've rented probably 18 different places. So, not only touring, but just having to get up and move,
right
all the time. Yeah.
Do you compose on the guitar? Because I've seen a lot of pictures of you with on this album. I don't think you're playing the guitar. You play the piano.
Yeah, I play piano
album.
on the album, but
a guitar, of course, is portable, and you don't. If you move a lot, you don't.
It totally depends on the song, because I mean, harmonically, I have more recourse, thinking in Spanish, resources on the piano because I have a jazz education. But on the guitar, it gives me different rhythmic ideas.
Right.
Yeah.
You say jazz education, and that was in Toronto at the conservatory?
That was my classical with the Toronto Conservatory, but in British Columbia.
In Vancouver.
But that system, yeah. Right. When I was growing up, I had a classical background. But jazz, mostly learned on the road and with tremendous musicians that I've played with over the years. Learned a lot just from them.
Besides music, you've also studied musical theater. Everyone knows or thinks they know what music is, and everyone knows or thinks they know what theater is. But maybe you could refresh us, or make sure that we do know what is meant by musical theater. Not just opera or Broadway. But what's musical theater when you study it? Because you studied it, and you also spent 6 years in the Klondike doing musical theater.
I started in musical theater, in high school, shows, Broadway shows, our own renditions. And then I studied at Studio 58 in Vancouver, which is a theater company. And later I did 6 years of a season of a show called the Beaver Creek Rendezvous, which is a show up in the Yukon Territory of Canada. So it was a seasonal show, 4 months of the year. And I learned a lot from that experience too. When you do a show 7 nights a week for 4 months straight, you really learn a lot of discipline.
I can imagine.
And
you do it in your sleep, probably.
Yeah, sick or not, the show must go on. So I learned a lot that way.
I once said I'd stay for the relentless crash of the Mediterranean Sea and the daily darker winds of Levante. I once said I'd stay to see a flock and a shepherd with his crooked hand roaming the rhythms of the land, resigning to my I then got caught by an unyielding gaze. He was brown of eye and red of blood, and he said someday you'll stay for love. I once said I'd stay.
I once said I'd stay, again with a strong flamenco component, Nancy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, those rhythms are in my blood by now. So, and just so much fun to sing live. I think whenever I'm composing, I have the live show in mind because I love performing so much. And so exciting that we're starting a tour now. And we started on Friday in Malaga. Now we're doing a show Tuesday, tomorrow night in Madrid.
Tomorrow night in Madrid at the Clamores, one of the historic Spanish jazz venues, Clamores Jazz Club. And then pretty soon you're going to be hopping the Atlantic and going on tour in Latin America. Is that
Yeah,
right?
we're doing
ending in Cuba, starting in Costa Rica, I think.
Well, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're doing a whole bunch of different projects there. I'll be bringing part of my lineup from Spain, and then we're also getting 2 musicians from Cuba to join with me. So yeah, I'm busy putting that together, and then putting a tour together for Australia as well in the new year.
And but touring is, I mean, this is sort of second nature for you, because you've toured or you've had musical adventures touring, performing in Morocco, in Holland. I didn't know about that one, but in Panama, in Polynesia. You've even you spent a month-long, I think, residence in the palace of the Sultan of Brunei, where you had to sing in Malay and
That's right.
Indonesian.
Yeah, that's right.
That's quite an experience. So touring is, it's old hat for you, right?
It's all I've ever done, really, yeah, since I was about 20 or 21 years old. Yeah. Love it.
Well, listeners who would like to find out more about Nancy Ruth, whose 5th album has just been released, Sangria Jam. It's her 2nd one in Spain, but the 5th one overall, can visit her website at... It's straightforward.
NancyRuth.com.
Nancy Ruth, 3 W's, www.nancyruth.com. And there they can find out about your activities, about your adventurous background, shall we say?
Yeah.
And your music and your projects.
Yeah. Life is a big adventure, and that's the way I look at it.
That's the right spirit. I think
Yeah.
I like that spirit. I like that spirit. Nancy, thank you very much for coming to Radio Exterior today, to the English language broadcast. And I think we should end, or we could end, if it's all right with you, with the last song from Sangria Jam, the final track on the album. Can you tell us something about Yellow Veranda?
Well, I just wanted to write a fun song, a fun, catchy song, and it's the one that a lot of people like. It's the one that my mom likes, do something everybody can understand. So here you go.
Great. Thank you, Nancy. And we'll leave you now with Yellow Veranda by Nancy Ruth.
The market is alive, a feast of colors for the eye. I've got almonds, figs, and oranges from Valencia. I'm gathering a vision of the meal I'll make alone with my army of artichokes from Almeria. I run back as I decide to buy the fresh catch of the day, and I crash into a rugged smile and think I hear him say, let's dine on my yellow veranda. Come along and we'll laugh until dawn. Let's dine on my yellow veranda. I drop my bag of artichokes, they scramble on the floor, and they roll between his shoes of sturdy leather. I gather up my might, but he can see that I am shy and says, worry not, we'll pick them up together. I look up and I can see he's just as curious as I. So I break into a smile and then imagine his reply. I got wine from the sunniest vine. Let's dine on my yellow veranda. Come along and we'll laugh until dawn. Let's dine on my yellow veranda. Should I come to my senses, or should I keep dreaming that he's gonna say my table's set for 2?